we've got a few questions for you today, and I'm looking forward to hearing some of your answers. I'm going to have Lynn start off first.
So what I want to know is, when you received the invitation from Hopelink, considering all the projects that you're involved in, because I follow you on social media, so I know all the things, all the requests for your time, what grabbed your attention about Hopelink and made you say yes?
Uh, First of all, thank you for having me. And good morning. I think it's still the morning. I don't know. I got lost in the magic.
Yeah.
Shout to the female MCs and singers that hit the stage and murdered it. That was fantastic. I loved every piece of that. And a shout to all of the people who have been helped through Hopelink. I think I wrote down a couple of things, and I don't normally do that. I normally just kind of speak from the head or the heart, you know. But I think people don't talk enough about poverty as they should. And Hopelink is an organization that speaks to poverty. So I feel like we hear so much about, oh, what a great economy we have. The economy's booming, it's booming. We don't hear enough about just that word, that specific word, poverty. And we have a lot of people who are living in poverty. And they may have a job, but they don't make enough to really be able to afford to lift their families up out of poverty. They're making it from paycheck to paycheck, barely. And they need more resources. They need help. And one bad day, as you can hear, one bad relationship, or one rough night, and you could be in your car. And it's just something that I can relate to, because it's something my family went through. I went through that as a kid for a period of time. Had to rely on government assistance, had to live in the projects, for a few years while my mom and dad got back on their feet. And so I was helped as a result of someone extending that branch to my family. And it happened several times throughout my life that we were helped in certain ways. So I just feel like it's important that we don't forget that in this very rich country of ours, that we don't get so caught up in all the polarization, political polarization, and media hype, and all that stuff they scare the heck out of us with every day on television, and forget that there are people who are really not in good shape. They need some help, and they need organizations like Hopelink to help get them back on their feet. They just need a hand up. Nobody's begging you. They just need a little help, and that's what we're supposed to do as human beings, is to help each other.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Great answer. I do want to follow up on that point. You talk about coming up through various challenges from the very, very beginning, and more than once. So you're well known for decades of philanthropy and advocacy, especially for women and people of color. Talk a little bit more about when you think about these challenges through the eyes of women and people of color.
Whew. I mean, I can't speak to what happens with everyone, but I can tell you this. My mother was a school teacher. At some point, she had pretty good credit. She had saved up enough money. We were able to move out of our apartment, from one apartment to a better apartment to a better. It was always her trying to make a better move. And then it came time that she was finally able and had saved up enough to maybe buy a house. So when she went to get a loan from the bank, she was denied. That was straight up racism and classism. There was no reason for her to be denied that loan. Had she come from a different neighborhood, been of a different race, she would have been given that loan. And so as a young kid looking at my mom, who deserved that, be denied that, it pissed me off. It made me mad, excuse my language. But I got more words than that. So, but I'm gonna try not to use those. But that made me angry, because I know what my mother was doing, and I know how many kids she was saving every day, and how many kids she's raising. She's raising other people's kids in school every day. Who can't talk to their parents about this, that, and the third, or who are going through things, or who haven't had parents who were raised the way she was, and so she's guiding them along the way and really sharing so much with them, and she can't even get a loan to get a small house in the hood. We're not trying to move to Beverly Hills. We still want to stay in Newark. We just going to maybe go to East Orange or Irvington, bordering town, but no, with nothing special, just to own your own, piece, to put some equity into your own life. So, I mean, I kind of learned it that way, but I also knew that she had a lot of friends and we had family, and we leaned on each other. We helped each other out.
You've broken so many barriers in your career in hip hop, television, and movies, as both a performer and a producer. The clients of Hopelink, many of whom are women, face barriers as well. And I think that one thing that unites all of us is when we face barriers, there are things, whether it's poverty or racism or sexism, what advice would you give to these women who are facing these barriers? And I think that's something that we can all talk about no matter what our circumstances, that advice that we all need when we're facing that.
I can only speak for myself when it comes to these things, because I can't speak for what another person is thinking. I can't count what's in another person's pocket, any of that stuff. But in my experience, I just had to jump, There were times I just had to leap. And boy, did I crash and fall on my face flat sometimes. But I had to get back up. And then it taught me that I could fall on my face and get up again. So I had to learn how to fail. But I only learned how to fail by trying things. And I was terrified. I mean, I remember like my first fight as a kid, how utterly terrified I was. I don't know if anyone has had a fight in this room in their life, a fist fight.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But for me, it was the scariest. The moments before that first punch being thrown is the most terrifying thing in the world. And after that, we in it, But it's everything that leads up to it. And that fear that I felt, and I had to do what I had to do, I would never fight unless I had to get to that point. But it's no different than getting up on a stage or going for a job interview or applying for college or holding up your hand in class and asking a question. There's always some fear involved in it. But the key is not to let the fear paralyze you. The key is to feel the fear and do it anyway. And there's literally a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And I've read that book and things like that. It's really about feeling that fear and being able to do it anyway and try regardless. I know some people with much bigger ideas. Like one of my boys, Ramsey, he's the first one to put me in a studio. He used his rent money to put me and my boy Apache in the studio, and we got record deals based on those demos that we made. But he had so many more creative ideas than he is so creative, but he's so shy when it came to speaking in a room and getting those ideas across to someone, whereas I wasn't as shy, and I was able to take his ideas, sit in that room across from whoever, and get them out, and sell something. So, we all work together, and we lean on each other for what we need. And when, you find someone who has weaknesses and you have those strengths, then you can connect with them, and they may have strengths and where you have weaknesses. So it's important to have that kind of help.
I like that. Leap, Lean
That's
on
right.
your friends.
That's right.
Like that.
And maybe don't take your phone on stage. It's buzzing in my pocket. I can't pick up
People are
right
trying
now.
to find you.
We'll wait.
D&D.
I would,
Sorry, I'm like,
there's so many things that we want to ask you, but I know that time is tight. Let me ask you real quickly. You talked about from the position of facing challenges, getting through things, facing adversity. Let's talk about it from the other side real quickly in terms of the folks at Hopelink. They work on increasing our focus on dismantling systems driving multi-generational poverty, such as racial and gender inequality. From your perspective and all the work you've been doing in the community, what action can people take? What can we all do to help break down those systems rather than just be a part of it? How can we make a difference?
I should be asking you that question. Y'all are doing it. You are doing it. This is, first of all, it's recognizing that it exists, not ignoring it, not brushing past it. Really realizing that there's a huge income gap and that systemic racism and the history of our country has really hindered so many people. This is not something you can fix overnight. But recognizing that it is real and it is true and it is our history is step number one. And then we got to keep it real with ourselves. We like to go on vacations to Europe. You know, we want to go to Italy. We want to go to Greece, you know. We want to go to all of these fantastic. We have to realize these countries are thousands of years old. Technically, we only a few hundred years old. This is a young nation. We're going to make a lot of mistakes. But we got to keep it real with where we are and what we've done and what we've been through and how we've all contributed to the great success of the United States of America. And so, but we still have a lot of work to do. And one of the things we won't do is just accept the fact that it wasn't pretty making this country. It was brutal and it was rough. That being said, if we could just like take the gut punch and recognize everyone and respect one another for all their contributions to this nation, then we can move forward and not feel like, oh, we don't want to bring up that topic. It won't be so taboo. It's taboo when we don't talk about it and we're not real with it, you know? And so I think we need to like just get that done. And I would love to see that just happen in my lifetime. Because we've been talking about that since I was a little kid in school. Yep. So I just think we need to continue to support one another, to recognize that it's not a one and done sort of situation. And I think that Hopelink sees that. They might have started out as a small thing, but then they started to see, oh no, we need to help here and here. Or we can't just help here and not help there, you know. I had food tickets. I had lunch tickets when I was in school because, you know, we couldn't afford to pay for that lunch every day. So those lunch tickets helped me eat, lunch every day and breakfast if I needed it. I mean, you want kids to go to school and be educated and they're starving. They're hungry, you know. I used to wonder why some of my friends would be over my house all the time. Well, I didn't realize that they didn't have food at their house. You know, and we always knew when it was the first of the month was coming because the check would come. But then you got to try to make that thing stretch through the whole month, you know. And so there are a lot of reasons that we can reach out to people. And we do, as Lauren mentioned earlier, about the childhood traumas, the things that kids go through that can affect how they learn, how they grow, how they see the world. We need to help children from the beginning. And we need to help parents learn how to be parents, you know, good parents. And so organizations like this do such an amazing, incredible job at changing the future, at making our future so much brighter. So I don't even know if I answered your question. I forgot what the question was.
No, you did.
Because y'all have me in such awe that I've just been like, as soon as the lights went dark, I thought something was going to come from the ceiling, and, you know, it turned into a Disney movie in my mind. But
you know, you talk about all the needs. So what is mental health? Physical exercise is key to mental health, but so is curling up with a good book. So I want to know what you're reading and what you're listening to. We all want to know. What's on your playlist?
Oh, you want me to get the phone? I can't remember all the stuff that I play so much kind of music. Like literally, I could pull out my phone and it would be Billie Eilish and it would be Sarah Vaughan. And it would be some Jay-Z or Drake and it would be some Kendrick. It would be, the Raconteurs. It would be, I play my own stuff that y'all haven't heard. There's always some jazz, there's always some gospel, there's always some Clark sisters close. I keep the Clark sisters real close. I need to listen to some symphonic music sometimes because I don't want to hear anybody's voice. I just need some peace. I listen to all kinds of music. I listen to folk, rock. Sometimes I just gotta rock out.
Yes.
So I need some AWOL Nation. I gotta sell. You know what I mean? I gotta go there with it. Some Mary J. You know what I'm saying? To get me through the day. We can go on and on. I mean, what you want? Some Thelonious Monk? You want some Quincy Jones? You want some Michael Jackson? You want some Prince?
Yes.
Prince. Stevie Wonder would probably be the top person that I listen to the most. I think out of anything because Stevie has a song for anything, everything I've been through in my life, and that's since high school. So I think Stevie Wonder would be the top of.
Well, I got to tell you, you do too. Okay, how about a book, podcast? What
Good
are you
Lord.
reading right now?
I'm reading Neil deGrasse Tyson's new book, Letters from an Astrophysicist. That replaced astrophysics for not for dummies, for people in a hurry.
I'm glad you corrected that.
Astrophysics for people in a hurry. That's one of my plain reading books. I like to read about that. I'm reading a vocabulary book just for fun. I like to learn new words. I'm reading a book called Women Who Run with the Wolves. I always have. Yeah, it's a great book for any woman in this room. You should read Women Who Run with the Wolves. It raises, you know what I mean? And men, you should read this so you can know how to, like, oh yeah, that's, And I have the daily devotional called Jesus Calling that I always read every day. It just, trust me, it gets me through. Because things aren't always easy and for anyone. I don't care how successful you are. You have up days and you have down days, and sometimes you need to lean. I lean on God.
Yes.
And take the burden off of myself a little bit.
Wise woman.
But one thing that you mentioned, as we were talking about poverty and how I think we can also help change it, is moms need to communicate with their children. And my mother communicated with my brother and I when we were young. And I think it helped us. So I think some parents, of course, you try to keep as much away from your kids as you can to protect them from things and the harsh realities of life. But sometimes you have to really. Kids are not as dumb as you think. Right. They are receiving, and they're still so open, and they see the little things that you have no idea. You think you're hiding it, but you're not. My mother would tell us, "Listen, y'all, money is gonna be tight this month. I'm gonna need y'all to cut these lights off, please, and just tighten up the kitchen because I'm gonna be working a little late, or just let me take a nap because of this or that." And my brother and I would respond in kind. But it made us part of what was happening in our lives. We didn't feel like something's happening and we don't know what's going on and we're scared, and we just uninformed, and it may make us act out because we just feel like unsteady. I think at the point where a child is ready, I'm not saying tell a 2-year-old, cut that light off and go make your bed, but at the point where kids are old enough, to really have a conversation with you, and things are rough a little bit, maybe if they can help out, it makes them feel like they're part of the family and a part, they're not responsible, but they can pitch in and they'll feel like they can contribute and maybe it will help with their self-esteem because we felt like, okay, we can help mommy out because God, we're in school. What can we do? We're not making money, but we can at least help with the electricity bill. We can at least help with the water bill, you know, by not using so much water or just letting the sink run and things like that. You know, she was teaching us and making us a part of it, and we felt like better because of it, and we felt more informed, which made it less frightening.
That's good advice.
I think we're getting the time to wrap up. I hate it because I have so many more questions, and you are so incredible
I'm
to
here,
talk
you
to.
know.
But I'm going to have to, take it on home. Take it on home,
No, I'm
Queen.
just kidding.
Thank you so much for spending some time with us today, Queen Latifah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Give money to Hopelink.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate you.
Oh, you indeed.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Lynn. And thank you, Queen Latifah, for your fabulous remarks. Thanks, everyone, for coming today, and a big shout-out to Kathy, Apollonia, Ruth, and Mary. We really appreciate your stories. Thank you so much for sharing. Table captains, you rock. Please enjoy a table centerpiece, and we look forward to seeing all of you again next year. Bye-bye.
God bless.